Tree Country 1330 WTRE. It's 8:30, and we welcome this morning Decatur County Commissioner Jeremy Paisel back in. You survived the fair.
Good morning. Yeah, it was a great fair.
It was. We had good weather.
We did. There was only one night that was a little questionable. It was a really good fair this year.
Yeah, so a lot going on. There's a lot of projects still happening, so we'll just kind of make our way. Let's just start at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, the speed has not slowed down with everything going on here in the county. So when you go out by the fairgrounds right now, you're going to see the Ready project, the new building. It is progressing. The outer shell is up. You can see the bottom of the building is still open right now. There will be a brick wainscot along the bottom of the building.
Okay.
But the cool thing about that right now is you can actually see the work they're doing inside. So they are doing all the plumbing right now so that they can continue moving forward, and then they'll pour the concrete floor. So it's moving along pretty quickly.
It seems like I go by there day to day, but even at that, it seems like very quickly it's moved.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, they're doing a really good job. The speed that they're moving is fantastic. We're still right on track for having the project completed, or having that part of the project completed by this November, December, weather permitting. But yeah, we're right on track.
That's exciting news, right?
It is. And I mean, there's so many cool things about that project for what it's going to bring to the community. It's not just a community building for the fairgrounds. This is truly going to be an event center, something that we don't have here in the county. We're looking at, during the fair, when we had our booth, we were approached by somebody that runs a regional gun show. They want to bring a gun show and other events like that to the community building. These are not things that we have here in Decatur County right now. And so we're bringing up a whole new area for tourism, for new dollars coming into Decatur County by having this project. We've had a number of different meetings with other businesses and other entities here in the county that are looking to move their event here to this community building because we haven't had something like this before.
The amount of people it'll be able to hold, it's just the size of it is opening up some new doors.
When you're looking at 600 to 650 people that are sitting at tables, it's a whole new avenue here for us to do different events at the fairgrounds. And the fact that it's going to be heated and cooled, climate controlled, you can have about any type of equipment in the facility because of the thickness of the floors, the size of the overhead doors. It's going to be great. And I just want to be clear here. It's not just a wedding venue. That's not what this is for. If somebody wants to host a wedding there, we aren't going to say no, but that's not what this is for. This is truly for some type of an exhibition, for conferences, for trainings. I was sitting in 2 meetings here over the last 2 weeks with different businesses here in Decatur County, and they're looking at using this building to do different types of training for their employees, for their customers to come in and learn about the new products that they have throughout the year. So every year they'd be doing these new updates for either their customers or their employees. So this is something that has a broader reach than just a 4-H community building. It's actually going to be bringing new dollars into the community based on what this is actually going to be promoted as. And talking with tourism with Erica Gunn, we have a good plan going forward here on how we're going to project this project outside of Decatur County so that we can start bringing folks in. We've already started to see interest from folks in the Indianapolis area, down towards the Cincinnati area, because of the size of this building. And if you look at our whole region here in southeast Indiana, there aren't many other buildings that are like this. And so this will truly be a standalone individual building here where we don't have anything else like this in the area. We're centrally located between Cincinnati and Indianapolis, and we're going to be able to host events that wouldn't be anywhere else. They would either be Columbus or Shelbyville or Cincinnati or Indianapolis. And here, being centrally located, we're in a great spot to host these kinds of events.
Lots of opportunity being
a lot of it, yeah. And when you look at the funding for this project, just to talk a little bit about that before, I know we have in the past, but we have kicked off the fundraising campaign. We did that at the fair. And we're already at a point where we've raised $100,000 in pledges so far. The fundraising portion is actually a state requirement. It's not something that we're just like, hey, we don't want to spend all this extra money. We want to save money, so we want the community to contribute. The state actually requires us to go out and raise a certain amount of private funds from the community. That shows the community buy-in to the project, that the community's actually behind it and they want to see that project happen. So that's the reason that they have that private funding requirement. So we're really moving on the right track here. We've had a lot of meetings with private businesses. They're behind this. They're excited about it because of what it can bring to this community.
What is the goal for that fundraising, that dollar amount?
So when we submitted Ready, the actual application to the state, it was $800,000. I think we can get that fairly easily. And if we do, the plan is to not pay the county back. The county is required to pay 1.2 per the application, 1.2 million. What we're going to do is we're going to improve other parts of the fairgrounds, because if we're seeing these kinds of donations and this support for this project, we want to return those funds to the county in a way that, or to the community in a way that they're going to get more improvements at the fairgrounds, which then keeps the cycle going of bringing in more events, more dollars to the fair. So anybody that comes out and rents the fairgrounds or uses the fairgrounds, all of those funds stay for the fair. And so your fair committee is going to be able to continue to promote new events, do other improvements out at the fairgrounds. These dollars aren't going back to county general.
Now, let's talk fair. We've talked the big building, but fairgrounds as a whole, quite a few improvements made over the last year. I know there's still a lot on the docket that you guys are looking at. So kind of where do the fairgrounds as a whole stand?
So there have been a lot of improvements here over the last couple of years. Since I became a commissioner in January of 23, we have done improvements at the livestock pavilion, at the hoop building. We've done improvements down at the horse arena, over at the track. We've now done more improvements in the farm and home building. So when you look at our fairgrounds, we are keeping steady maintenance on it, and we're doing other improvements to make sure that we don't see an end of life period for any of these buildings or the facilities, because we want to continue to promote the fairgrounds as a place that we can have added economic impact here in Decatur County, because we do have a lot of events out there. I was shocked when I met with some of the officials from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation here a couple weeks ago, and they wanted to see some of the numbers for the events that we have out at the fairgrounds. And so I polled all of the different events. I was shocked at how much the fairgrounds is used throughout the year.
You don't realize it until you stop and look.
You really don't. And when I got the list of all of the events, it's incredible. I mean, you definitely see a drop-off in the hot months in the summer, because before this new building, we didn't have the air-conditioned buildings or those facilities. But throughout the rest of the year, I mean, that place is used. There's
steady.
A lot of traffic out there. And so if we can continue to have the upkeep on the buildings and continue to improve the facilities, we're really looking at a fairgrounds that can be used year-round, and that's the goal.
Are there any specific projects over the next year before the next fair gets here that we're looking to do, or are we still talking about those?
So, I mean, it's a small part, but it was one that was actually just completed, I think, yesterday. We had some additional fencing that was put in between the horse arena and the track, because we've always had some issues when it comes to our track events about people trying to watch it from a place that they don't have to pay. And it also creates a danger, especially if you think about the TQ midgets when they're flying around the track. Awesome show, but when they're flying around the track, if they were to catch a rut and potentially flip out, having people that are watching on part of the track that's maybe not the safest was a concern for us. So we wanted to put some fencing up. We got that done just earlier this week.
Very good. Are they still talking about burying the electric lines? Is that
Yep,
still?
that
okay.
is. So there was a meeting with REMC and Scott Barnes, who's the general contractor on the Ready project, the commissioners and some council reps, where we are going to be burying all of the electrical. We're running new phase into the fairgrounds, and so that way we don't have some of the electrical draw issues that we've had out there in the past, so we aren't overloading any boxes. So that's going to be great, because with some of the pictures that I've seen on Facebook, folks going out and looking at the new building, those overhead lines and power lines, poles and everything, it will look a lot better when we have everything buried.
Clean it up a little bit.
And a lot safer. You don't have the overhead line issues.
So we completed the fair in July. It was toasty, but for the most part, pretty dry.
It was good. It was a good fair overall. There were a lot of people that came out. It was great having all of the events. It was the first tractor pull, I think, in 3 years. So the economics of it, at the end of the day, we brought in a very healthy amount of money for the fair. We actually netted over $60,000, or I think it was right at 60, and so we did well.
Very good.
Yep, and it was the first year for the new fair committee, and so I was very happy with how everybody had come together, and we put on a great product.
A great fair. The weather was delightful, so that made things so much better. When we look at that, lures, I know you guys were able to secure a contract for them for 3 years
Yes.
upcoming?
Yep. Yeah, they're a great partner. When you look at what lures can bring in, as far as the rides, the safety, the quality, they can't be beat. not for the price point. And so it would be either a major step up in price to bring in somebody that's like them, or a big step down in the number of rides and the quality of the rides if we were to go to someone else. So we were very excited to be able to extend that contract with Lures. They've been a great partner for a really long time.
They have.
Yeah.
Lots of years.
It's, I think, like 50 years, 60 years.
Oh, we're like, I think, what did they tell us next year? Next year's a really big number. Now I can't remember. I'll have to think about it.
It's amazing, the partnership
Yeah.
that they've had with Decatur
I want to
County.
say 70.
That
I
might
think
be.
next year might
Yeah.
be 70.
That might be.
I know that Josh Marsh promised them a cake on behalf of Kevin Kreitz to celebrate next year. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I'm sure
right?
Kevin will come through with that.
That's right. So yeah, fair was great. Wrapped up. You guys will start working on the next fair.
Yeah,
now.
so we're going to have a wrap-up meeting, I think, next month in September, just to go back and compare notes. I think all of us kept notes of things that we could improve for the next year, or things that maybe just need to be addressed. And so we're going to have that wrap-up meeting, and then actual planning will start in December.
It goes quick, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
And then it's right back to July. So,
Yep.
While we're on that side of town, let's talk about the ball diamonds.
Yeah, it's if you drive by the ball diamonds now, you'll actually see that the back four diamond construction's underway. And so this is pretty exciting, because we've already had a commitment that in October we will have a tournament that's over 100 teams, because the back four are completed. So we'll have 8 turf diamonds, and so they will bring in, I think it's 104 teams.
Oh, wow.
In October. That's going to be pretty remarkable, because most of our tournaments have been, call it an average of maybe about 50 teams, and we're seeing about 3,500 people come in on those tournaments. So we're looking at a massive tournament later in October.
Big turnout.
But the neat part about this, and I mean, this project has truly exceeded our expectations here on year one. We knew that we were going to see more people coming into Decatur County, so they're spending more money at our restaurants, at our hotels, at our local shops, at our gas stations. All of those have positive tax impacts or implications here for us, where we're getting additional revenue from folks that don't live here in the county. But the really cool part about this is when you're looking at 8 diamonds that are going to be able to host 100 tournaments, you're looking from April until October. So you're talking about a very long time period here, where we're seeing additional revenue come in from something that had not been used like this before. So the return on the investment is pretty tremendous. And when you look at the fund, so the total project was $1.8 million. Of that, the county had provided $300,000 of the $1.8 million. Of that $300,000 that the county had provided, we have provided a promissory note to the Parks Department, where they're actually going to be repaying $200,000 of that from the revenue that they generate out at the ball diamonds through those tournaments. So the county will have actually only spent $100,000 on this project. The rest of the revenue had come from TIF districts, from other entities here in Decatur County. They weren't county tax dollars.
When you look at, because this season, we'll call it a test season, right? Because it was the first one out of the gate. Not all 8 diamonds were done. So by the end of October, we'll be able to look at, I guess, money-wise, to see where we're kind of at and how the season has gone for them?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be able to go in and look at what gross proceeds were, what our net proceeds were, not just with concessions, but with staff. How much were we paying for upkeep? How much additional funds did we have to spend to actually keep the turf up? How much did we have to spend to keep the rest of the grass up and the other facilities out there? So yeah, we'll be able to look to see what the net impact was on the bottom line. But then we'll also be able to pull data from tourism to see where a lot of these folks were coming from. Because I know when I've driven out there, driven through the parking lot during the tournament, I'm seeing license plates from Kentucky, Illinois, Ohio, Tennessee, Indiana, and counties far away here in Indiana. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the impact is here locally with some of that data from tourism, because they'll be able to get with the hotels and see what their reservations look like on ball tournament weekends. They'll be able to go to some of our local hotels, see how they were impacted as well. So it's going to be pretty neat to see what that data looks like come November, December.
It's exciting. Exciting good news. While we're over in that area, let's just touch it. We've got the pool. The survey has been opened up.
It has, yeah.
And there's some new prospects out there. So where do we kind of stand with the pool here in Decatur County?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we haven't had a pool for the last couple of years. I think that a large part of that is not because we don't want the pool. It really came down to financials. I know that if we had a pool, my daughter would have been there the last couple of years. I would have been in that pool with her. So, I mean, we would love to see a pool. It just comes down to the finances. So we're looking at some different options to be able to potentially renovate the existing pool. And I think that there are some good options out there. So if you see the survey, take the survey.
It is open. Is it through this week, next week?
August 31st.
Okay, I was going to say. All right, very good. So we have the pool. Make sure to take that survey. You can find that. I know it's on Facebook.
Parks and Rec has it. The Decatur County government Facebook page has it as well.
So if you want to say, now is your time to speak up and get it out there.
Yeah, let us know.
Well, we're talking that plays right into budget. So we've talked about budget cuts coming from the state, and you guys are currently in budget season. So what are we seeing, and what's the future look like?
Yeah, so Senate Enrolled Act 1 definitely threw a curveball to most county governments here in Indiana this year. The property tax cuts that we saw definitely affected our revenue for the county and the projects that we can go after, the different things that we can fund. And so this year, going into budget season, we knew we had to cut. And so the commissioners had presented a budget to the council where we cut about 3.5% out of our budget. The commissioners, for at least now the third straight year since I've been a commissioner, have not taken a pay raise. So I think overall, the county looks like we will be in good shape. We have really good cash reserves, so we are not in a position here where we're financially strapped. We do have to be cognizant of what we spend on. We have to be careful with what we spend on. But I think overall we're in a good place.
All right, capital improvements.
Yeah, this is a project that I think we really have needed for quite a few years. So it kind of started for me when last year in 2024, we got the first ever comprehensive financial review with Baker Tilly. Before that, Decatur County had not had a financial review where we had a full analysis by an accounting firm that then also provided the projections of what we would have for the next 5 to 10 years. And so now we can actually plan, because we got that done in 24. We got an update done in 25 now based on the changes to the laws with Senate Enrolled Act 1. So we have a really good idea about where we are financially, not only today, but where we will be in 5 years and in 10 years. And so with that information, we can actually go ahead and start planning on what should we be doing going forward in the future with our buildings and with other projects. But we needed a committee to be able to start pulling together that different data. And so that's the capital improvement campaign, or capital improvement committee. And so what that committee will be doing is going around and analyzing the different assets that we have here in the county, whether it's the courthouse, the annex, different things at the fairgrounds, the animal shelter, the ball diamonds, the pool, county roads, all of our different assets that we have here. What's the state of each one of those different assets? What do they need? How long is their roof going to last? Their HVAC, how old is that? Does it need work done or anything like that? Pulling together all of that different information so that we know what we have coming down the road here in the next 5 years and in the next 10 years. So that way, if we have another project come up that we want to do, but it's not necessarily something that we have to do today, we know if we can afford it. We know how we can plan for it so that we can start looking to the future and actually making sure that we're heading in the right direction for that project.
I know sometimes there's questions from the community about having Baker Tilly involved in looking at that, but this really no different than personal finance. You're able to see what's ahead and what you've got.
I feel very comfortable working with Baker Tilly because they do this for local governments all across the state. As an accounting firm, they have more experience with the different issues that come up here in Decatur County than anyone else, because they do this day in and day out for different county governments and different businesses across the state. When we're, as commissioners and as council, who aren't accountants, who have full-time jobs, when we're able to shoot off an email and ask them a question on how something is going to impact a particular line item, and they can get back with us, the same day, that's tremendously beneficial for us. So having that kind of a resource and that type of analysis on our financials is huge. It truly does allow us to prepare and plan for future projects like what this capital improvement committee is going to be doing. It's going to put us in a much more financially stable position to make sure that we aren't just shooting from the hip when we make a major decision.
When we talk about this committee, what will that be comprised of? Has that committee been put together, or?
Yeah, so Ashley Hungate and I have been talking about this and kind of flushing it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to, at the very beginning of this project, to get it up off the ground, we're going to have all three commissioners. We're going to have two different members from the council. We're going to have the county maintenance person. It'll be Charlie Davis. So that's going to be our committee so that we can go through and get a full analysis of all these different areas. And then we can put the projects that we see on the table for the future. We can talk about those, and we can talk about current conditions of our current assets to see truly what do we need to prioritize, what do we need to look at going forward in the future, so that we can make sure we're allocating funds in the correct area, doing it responsibly, and that we can also plan financially for it in the future.
And that should be kicking off soon?
Yeah, the commissioners talked about it at our last meeting. We approved that going forward, so council is going to be doing the same thing.
All right. Park Road, there had a meeting about Park Road, the Park Road project, still a couple years down the line to kick it off, but kind of give us where the county stands with that.
Yeah, so Park Road is a project that is a cooperative project between the county and the city, where Park Road will be resurfaced, and then also there will be a multi-use trail that's going to run down Park Road. Initially, on the county's portion of the project, from 200 right at the fairgrounds up the hill just past the country club, that's the county's portion, so that's phase one. Initially, there had been the multi-use trail on the north side of Park Road and then a regular sidewalk on the south side. When we were looking at the total impact of that project, we wanted to try to minimize negative conflicts there. We wanted to minimize the negative impacts that we had on different parts of the community, whether that was golf courses, or whether that was, somebody's house, their front yard. And so we have shrunk parts of that project down so that we can try to alleviate some of those issues. And so we also wanted to get the community's input on where that project was. So the Park Road project started, I think, in 21, prior to me being a commissioner. And so we've had a public input session here back early in August where we were able to talk with community members, representatives from the golf course, and then the neighbors that are adjacent to Park Road. And it was across the entire project, not just the county's portion of the project. So we were able to get some input from them, talk with them about some of their concerns about the project. The project's not actually going to kick off. You won't see physical work done until 2028.
So we've got time.
You've got some time, yeah, but the planning, they are a long ways down the road on the planning. There's still a lot of things to do.
And this is a city and county project.
Yes.
Collectively.
Yes, it is. Yep. The county's portion is only that first section there from the fairgrounds past the golf course.
All right. What else do we have on the list today?
I always want to remind folks that if you have a question, you have a concern, something in the county that has happened that you don't understand, call one of the commissioners.
Ask, right?
I get quite a few phone calls, but there are times that I expect to get a phone call about something that I don't. And so call me. My phone number is on the county website under the commissioners page. You can call me. I might not answer immediately if I'm at work, but I will call you back. I try to have a rule there where I call you back within 24 hours of when you called me. Leave me a voicemail. That way I know who it is, and we'll talk. That's probably the biggest thing that I always want folks to know is that we are available. We are accessible. When you look at where we were as a county with the commissioners and local government, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've pushed over the last couple of years. We started a county Facebook page. You can watch our meetings on YouTube. We moved one of the meetings every month to the evening. You can call us. I think that our accessibility and our transparency is definitely improved over where we have been in the past. So if you have a question, call us.
All three of you now have been through a fair and kind of getting your feet under you, and I know you're each kind of working on different things throughout the county. So and I know you're kind of in charge at the moment, but when you look at what Brian and Gabe are doing, can you kind of just give us a highlight of some of the things that they're working on as well? Yeah, so
Brian has been very instrumental in the transition for EMA. So with Michael Snyder being our new EMA director, he's been a great help to to Mike. I think that's been crucial because Brian's background being a firefighter, he's really been able to help him in that area. Brian has been hands-on with the Ready project out of the fairgrounds. He wants to be involved with that, so he's been very hands-on with that. Gabe has been working a lot on this pool project. He came in, and it was pretty early on, probably February, March, that he first started wanting to talk about this. And so he's been very hands-on. He's been really pushing for this, so it's been good to see.
I know we've talked about roads in the past and road work. Summer's moving along. Where kind of do we stand? I know that wasn't really on our list, but
no, absolutely, yeah. So all of the road projects are done for the year. We were able to do 116 miles at chip and seal. We are already wrapping up that paperwork with the state, and we're getting ready to actually submit the next round of community crossing grant for those different projects for 2026.
It's exciting. And listen, I don't think we've been on since they got repaired at St. Paul by the state. It was a great day, wasn't it?
It was. I think it was the same exact day that I was in here talking, because I was in here talking with you, and then I think either that day or the next day I had driven over it, and man, the state had gone in there and fixed the interchange there at 74 and 421 right at Love's.
Yes, the grader is missing. You can just drive right across it and not know it.
You know, that's one of the areas that I did get calls about, and it was a frustration for me as well because as a county we couldn't do anything about it. Back in the 70s when the state had gone ahead and surrendered 421 from Love's to Honda, they did not give the county that portion right there at the off-ramp. And so the state had kept that section. And so it's basically from right at County Line Road just south of Love's is still
it's
state.
It's just a short little area.
Right. The rest of 421 to Honda is county road, but we couldn't do anything about it. We had gone out there and we'd thrown some hot mix in there just to patch it, just as a temporary fix, but we had not been able to get the state to actually go out there and fix it, and so now it is.
It's good. It's smooth. It's nice.
Yes.
Not losing any tires.
It's a lot better. You aren't going to lose a Honda Civic in the hole now.
That's right. And that is one of the interchanges next summer.
Yes.
Is looking to be redone.
Yep. I think that the state is planning on addressing almost every single interchange from Shelby County down past Decatur County along 74.
All right. Anything else upcoming?
I think that's pretty much the big stuff that's been on our plate here.
Right.
It's definitely been a very busy summer. There's been a lot going on. So that hasn't slowed down, but I think everything is going pretty well for the county.
Well, we appreciate you coming in each month and just giving us an update, keep us up to speed on what's happening.
Thank you so much. Always great to be here.
All right. It's Tree Country 1330 WTRE.